5, 6, 7, 8. And hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Square the Circle Music Channel. It's me, your pal, your host, Aaron. That's right, that funny-looking guy over in Western Oregon that likes to talk about his record collection and other things. We talk about culture, we talk about music, we talk about a variety of shits and things. So here at the Square the Circle Music Cult, buckle up, grab yourself a cold beverage, whatever you like to do, and yeah, let's talk about collecting vinyl records, shall we? So anyway, I don't normally do this because it's Friday night. I normally have my children. I'm all alone. And it's still kind of cold and uninviting here in Western Oregon. And so I'm still kind of in this mode, you know what I mean? But I work on Saturdays. Tomorrow should be an easy day. And I'll pick up my kids later in the afternoon. So it should be a pretty chill morning tomorrow. I'm excited for that. I think I always wake up like 2 or 3 hours earlier than I should, so that I can have some, you know what I mean? Like anyone that's like a dad or has, has a life that's demanding in some way, shape, or form, can relate to really needing and finding little like incremental pieces of a day where you can just be you. And I like to, sit and spin. I like to literally I have to fucking stare at the I have to stare at the wall and just space out and check the fuck out of reality for at least like a half an hour every day. It's generally in the early morning. It's easier to do because you're in that state, that state of mind and body and consciousness still, where you can just it's meditative. And I say shit like that, and friends and people in my life, they just look at me and they kind of laugh and they're like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Because I literally just my favorite thing in the world to do is to put music on and stare at the wall. Maybe, the level of, psychedelic experiences I've had in my lifetime can just attribute to that type of thing. But I don't do any serious astral projecting or anything like that. It's just I straight up love to just space out, and I end up just staring at the wall for an hour listening to music. Anyway, you didn't come here to talk about that kind of goofy horse shit with me, did you? You came to talk about music. I don't know. It's Friday night. I don't usually do any type of talks on Friday nights. I usually, if I do, record a little thing for the YouTubers. It's generally on a Tuesday night or a Monday night. I've been taking a little breaky poo from shit posting on the YouTubes. So I guess you guys really haven't seen much of me in the last few weeks, but I'm alone. Let's chit chat about music. I just had a couple things on my mind, so I hope you guys don't mind that I'm just rambling about nothing. But, just kind of Friday night epiphanies, I wouldn't say epiphanies, that I didn't really come across anything monumental in my brain. But, on the musical spectrum, sometimes you grow up a little bit, or you're in a different period in your life, a different feeling, emotionally and psychologically and everything, and so you kind of are approaching, things that are reminiscent, things that are familiar, from a whole new set of, metrics, so to speak. And that's my favorite thing about music. That's my favorite thing about, fully appreciating the art of, to certain degrees. You guys have heard me, again, just shit talk about certain genres and subgenres and whatever. But yeah, when it comes down to rock and roll, I just love how it continues to ever evolve, it's just kind of metamorphosizing, metastasizing inside your brain. The decades that you get to know it and it becomes a part of you. And you develop a friendship with an album. Sometimes you fall out of love with albums and bands, and then you rediscover and whatever. It was just kind of it was a day of that and a night, like a night of that so far. I guess it's not really very late here in Pacific Standard Time. What is it? It's probably 8 o'clock, not even. So I was like eating some pizza and doing some work in the laboratory and listening to fucking Jesus, man. This Led Zeppelin's first. It's a original '69. It's a Presswell pressing. It has that gold hype sticker on it or whatever. And this fucking pressing, it kind of like this one's kind of shit kicked a little bit. It's not super beat up. There's some crackles, no skips, no pops, no skips. Just a little bit of some subtle crackling here and there, and of course, softer moments. Babe, I'm gonna leave you. Pretty much the whole first half of that. The middle half of Dazed and Confused, where it kind of gets kind of quieter. Whatever. Even through all that, I'm just like, sitting over my shoulder, just like, motherfucker, this album is so good. Dazed and Confused, just when he like, it comes out of the dun 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 dun, ba 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 da da da, just all the playing with John Paul Jones, and I've never really honed in on his like really cool, experimental kind of psychedelic bass line things he's doing right there. Honed in on that, and then they come back in and just like fucking hit the just kind of like the reprise of the original theme, dun dun dun, dun 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 dun. But by that time, the BPMs have been jacked up by a solid like probably 25 or 30 BPMs. Because that happens in midst of rocking the fuck out. Whew, get so excited and just like instinctively the tempo is going to be much quicker, and then you get to the reprise of that theme, and it's just like, man. Impactful. It's like, impactful. What an incredible album. Here I am, dude. It's Friday night. I'm eating pizza and I'm going off about probably one of the most like monumentally celebrated and praised rock and roll albums in history. And I really have no right to do so. I'm not from this era. I'm not from the UK, obviously. I don't even know a whole lot about the band themselves or any of the makings of this, but I mean, I know that Jimmy Page probably didn't he produce the majority of all this by himself. I mean, it's just right there. The first credit is produced by him, Jimmy Page, and of course, their executive Peter Grant, and wasn't he the manager of the band? But I don't know. These guys is they're you could say just kind of the history and the kind of what would you call it, the underlying mythology of Led Zeppelin kind of always like supersedes their musicality and their the gift they gave to the world on a musical scale. Sure, they were like the most controversial rock band of the time, really, of that era, for quite some time, I guess you could say. But yeah, the gifts they gave the world sonically, and how young Jimmy Page was putting this all together, it sounds so fucking rich and amazing. And like I was saying, it's a Presswell pressing, and I kept just like over my shoulder, just like, fuck, this sounds so good. I don't know. Maybe my cartridge is finally kind of warmed in. It's not. I've put a lot of mileage on my. Shout out to my little Nagaoka MP150 badass cartridge. I don't know how many hundreds of hours I've got on it now, but whatever, dude. Maybe it's warming in well. Maybe my speakers. I did clean the terminals and just kind of like the outer skirts of my the backs of my speakers. I didn't take them apart. I didn't take the guts apart, but I'm just trying to keep things clean, man. It's fucking difficult. And where I live, just keeping the dust out of the air and the dirt and shit off of everything is hard enough. Not to mention my my job, I pretty much wallow in other people's filth all fucking day long. Uh, yeah, you guys don't care about me. Um, but yeah, just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I know that's kind of stupid and cliche and whatever. It's like not like rediscovering Led Zeppelin. I've always had, numerous of their albums just float in and out of my collection over the past 15 years. But um, sometimes I don't know. I kind of wrote that album. I didn't write it off, but I kind of just kind of like have just glazed over it. I've had lots of friends throughout history that just kind of like they kind of just overplayed that shit when I was younger, and so I kind of just like we kind of tune it out sometimes. And I always felt like their first self-titled there was always just kind of the more dick and balls of all their albums and less artistic or whatever, And I don't know. Viewpoints change, um, and just hearing that and how just organic and awesome it truly is. So yeah, just wanted to chit chat about that for a little bit. Hope you guys don't mind. I've gone through and come out of a weird place in the last 2 weeks that you guys haven't really seen me or been talking to me. I decided that I was going to take a little trip and try to, ease and, step, what's it called? Just step off or whatever, stair step, I guess, stair step off incrementally a antidepressant that I have been on for a couple years, ever since COVID came crashing down on us and my mother died at the same time back in 2020. It was recommended to me by my physician that I might want to consider trying out a mood stabilizer antidepressant. And the feelings, I don't need to talk about this really because there's, millions of you folks that are on that shit. So the feeling of stair stepping off of it was probably the worst, the most god awful week that I've ever had in my life. Far worse than any other any other situations of anxiety and depression that I've ever felt. Actually, coming off of this fucking medication was the worst experience, one of the worst experiences of my life. But yeah, that was fun. And I kind of feel like I got over a hump. And so now I'm even kind of like, stepping even further back than I was before. And I feel pretty fucking good this week. So anyway, that's been a weird one. Found myself going to some pretty like kind of darker places that I haven't really visited in this era of my adulthood. And so I was kind of like lingering and reminiscing and just kind of like brooding, I guess you could say, and listening to like a lot of like kind of sad and darker music. And I was kind of like trying to figure out like what's the, I wanted to do like a top 10 list, again, like I haven't done a top 10 list in a while of, the saddest songs ever, whatever. It's stupid. Yeah, I'm not going to do that, I don't think, because I don't know, it's just fucking corny. But I really was thinking about some of like the saddest tunes, not just depressing, but just, really just like songs that are just like very deep and very just penetrating, that hit you in the very deepest dark well part of, your soul. Yeah, this one came right to the top of my head, and I was listening to this quite a bit, the whole album, throughout the last like week or two. But How to Disappear Completely, off of Kid A, from way back in 2000. Not only does it take me back to that place when the world was confusing, but still exciting and opening up. When you're 20 years old and you've already dropped out of college twice, and you're just like, what the fuck am I going to do with myself? And then you give in to the, you know, you give in to the river, the stream, the downward stream. And that's kind of what this album feels like, and has always been to me. And revisiting throughout, periods in my life, it's just kind of like, it always, it always kind of brings up the same feelings, not in a bad way. It's such a beautiful album. This whole era, the 2000, 2001, and then 2003, those three albums in a row, Kid A, Amnesiac, and Hail to the Thief. It just doesn't get any better than those 4 years in rock and roll. It's kind of hard to beat. How to Disappear Completely takes me to so many sad and dark places, and it's not hard to just kind of like, I don't even need the music to like check in to that darkness, but it's good to reflect and reminisce and remember about all that stuff, all the bad with the good, and vice versa. But it's such a powerful song, such a powerful band. All of their albums. And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, dude, truly the saddest fucking rock song ever is Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd from The Wall. Because that song is just about completely giving up, giving in, and just the overwhelming sadness of losing hope. I don't know, and with such an uplifting and sardonic guitar theme and solo, David Gilmour goes through that wonderful theme, and just like is Roger Waters is singing the lyrics at that point, right? Yeah. And just how sinister, and just a little pinprick, all the little sound effects, and oh man, that's the saddest fucking song in rock history. I don't know. I guess I need to think about this more. But those were kind of the two that just like, when I was thinking about drumming up such a such a silly list. I don't know, maybe I'll still do it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you'll see me again tomorrow. Maybe I'll do something with a little, something not so aimless here. I just wanted to check in. I wanted to check in with all you guys here on the YouTubes, and just say what's up. Mage isn't leaving. I ain't leaving. Well, yeah, I guess that's all I got to talk about right now. Just wanted to check in. Like I said, peace in the crease. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And you'll see me again soon. Peace out from the Square to Circle Music Channel. Later, nerds. Pew, 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 pew.